welcome to Forever Cricket on Forever Sports for today's preview as the Proteas take on India in the first of the 3 ODIs series tomorrow in Paul, and it should be an absolute cracker of a series because India are a formidable ODI side, and it's a format which I think South Africa struggled with. 2019 World Cup was a major disaster in terms of the one-day side, and they haven't really managed to put together too many consistent performances. Obviously, we had that really good series win against Australia a couple of years ago, but that is long in the past. And getting the balance right for this team is going to be key, especially seeing as the Proteas are starting to go with a two-spinner lineup, which is something that has been proven to be very successful in international cricket, but something that the Proteas have never really been able to do because of a lack of depth when it comes to the spinning department. However, that is starting to change, and we probably will see Keshav Maharaj and Tabraiz Shamsi in the side tomorrow, which will be interesting to sort of see how they fare against the Indian batting lineup. Before we look at the possible team and stuff like that, please do smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Now, for India, there's no Rohit Sharma, which is a massive loss to them, or Washington Sundar as well. But, you know, Virat Kohli spearheading that batting lineup and Jasprit Bumrah leading the bowling lineup, it still will be a massive task for South Africa. This is Virat Kohli's best format. I think he's got over 13,000 ODI runs. He's got a stupid amount of centuries. He scores at a really good strike rate, and what he does so well is just rotate the strike. He progresses the scoreboard so much, and I mean, he doesn't look like he's doing anything. Next thing you know, he's sitting on 75, 78 runs. So he, especially on the back of his announcement that he's quit as the Test captain, obviously he was fired as the ODI captain. So we'll have a lot to sort of prove to BCCI, where I think the relationships are a little bit strained. In terms of South Africa, a lot of big calls to make, especially in the middle order in terms of the batting lineup, as well as, you know, the all-rounder position and where you go with that. So in terms of a possible lineup that we can see for the Proteas, this is probably what I'd like to see. Yanama Malan, Quinton de Kock up front. We know that will be the case. Yanama Malan, in my opinion, the best ODI player in the world last year. You know, he had a stupendous amount of runs, incredible strike rate, and an incredible average, the highest of anyone that was nominated for the ODI Player of the Year. So on the back of that, we really need him to try and kick on. And I think, you know, Quinton de Kock, now that he's focused on white ball, hopefully we'll see a release from that. And with a little bit more time off, hopefully you can see the best Quinton de Kock. Because the best thing about these two is that they are both very dominant batsmen. And we grew up, well, not grew up not so much, but we grew very accustomed to seeing the dominance of Hashim Amla and Quinton de Kock at the top of the order, where often we'd sit there, you know, 100 runs, you know, after, well within sort of 20 overs and looking at sort of targets of 300, 400, just in terms of the platform that they used to set. Temba Bumrah will come in at 3 again, you know, a bit like sort of the Virat Kohli role. He bats very well with Quinton de Kock. He runs between the wickets very hard. He's not necessarily a boundary hitter, is Temba Bumrah, but he rotates the strike well, and he'll just progress that scoreboard. Now, the big selection to make is, are you going to go Aiden Markram at 4, or are we going to go Rassie van der Dussen at 4 and then bring in Kyle Verreynne? Kyle Verreynne had a very impressive 95 against Australia, and a lot of people really do rate him. However, Aiden Markram in white ball has started to step up and reach his potential, and you definitely cannot choose on the back of the Test Series form to then say that he's out of form, because in the same breath you'd look at Kyle Verreynne and say he didn't score any runs either. So that's the big decision to make in the batting lineup, because Rassie van der Dussen has an incredible ODI career. Averages, I think, like 75 or something stupid after almost 30 ODIs. So this is, again, his best format. And David Miller, you know, I think the best part about David Miller these days, people have come to accept how difficult his job is, and are understanding why sometimes it doesn't come off, but are still obviously going to pick him. I've always rated David Miller as a white ball player. I think he's a player who, in my opinion, had he gone up further up in the order, would have scored a lot more runs, but nobody does his job as the finisher as well as he does. The big selection, again, then is your all-rounder. Now, you've got Dwayne Pretorius or Andile Petlakwa as your sort of two leading candidates. A lot of people talking about Marco Jansen. He doesn't actually have a particularly good record when it comes to first class. He's barely played any first-class white cricket. So, you know, whilst he might have been a revelation in the Test arena, definitely wouldn't be putting him in just yet. So I think Dwayne Pretorius and Andile Petlakwa are the two that are up for selection. I've always been a massive Dwayne Pretorius fan. I think that he's the best batsman out of the options we have, and he's got capacity to find boundaries. So I think that him and Dave Miller can pile on a lot of runs quite quickly in the last stages of the game. You know, or even be able to sort of bat together. And I think Dwayne Pretorius is a very consistent bowler. He doesn't go for a lot of runs. Doesn't necessarily take a lot of wickets. I think Petlakwa is probably more suited to being sort of that strike bowler, that can find your wicket when you need it. But Dwayne Pretorius is a very consistent bowler. He's very difficult to get away. He bowls a very consistent line of length. And you can set a field to that. And the two spinners, Keshav Maharaj, Tabraiz Shams, from my opinion, will be joined obviously by Khiso Rabada, and then the other big selection to make is the other seamer, which I've gone with Lungengidi. I think Sinsanda Magala could be in with a shout. The best death bowler in the country, and I'd like to see more of him in this chance. And I think the best thing, look at a dream world, you'd like to see, 2 ODI wins and then sort of experiment for the last one. But at the end of the day, we've got to start putting together a proper ODI side, because next year we are a World Cup year. So we are looking at 18 months until we are playing the World Cup next year, and this side has a lot of development, a lot of form to try and get to before then. But let me know what you think. What selection would you change down in the comments? Who would you like to see play? And what do you think our chances are of a win in the series? Let me know down in the comments below. Please do smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven. I'll chat to you soon.